This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and right now I have for you in the queue 8 stories for this Tuesday that were big deals on stories of conversation explain how that works out. But these are stories that cover politics, current events, information, and pop culture news that you vetted as good enough to talk about. And we're here talking. Now I'm doing it live today to test out equipment and see how well we can do with a live again. We're going to talk about, and this is where it got interesting. We are teasing Bonnie Blue because I couldn't figure out which report was more damning, the Hunter Biden report or the Donald Trump report. And so we will go on with Bonnie Blue to get that. So we'll hopefully keep off the E ratings, but it'll be there. You've been warned. We're going Bonnie Blue today, and also some Rachel Maddow as well. So that's 4 stories down, 4 more stories to go in the whole set. We'll tell you how the vetting process works, but remind you right now that our website is conversationproject.com, our home online for great stuff, good stuff, awesome stuff, conversational news stories for you to get into, and of course, email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. If I have not said so yet, I know I said it was Tuesday, but it's the 14th of January, 2025. And we have 8 stories ready to go for you. No particular order based on the engagement that we'll talk about later. This is just the narrative, the way the story sort of went along. And we put Bonnie Blue last to just sort of give you the ick factor on the way out the door. Let's start off with breaking news that happened very late last night, very early this morning, and so it's hard to tell what happened. But the Justice Department has released a special counsel report on Trump's January 6th case. The judge allowed for the release of Jack Smith's report, and Jack Smith let it go last night or this morning, based on your perspective. And the final release of the report, based off Donald Trump's, the president-elect currently, what he engaged in unprecedented criminal efforts to overturn the 2020 election results 4 years ago. The report indicates that had Trump not been elected in 2024, there was sufficient evidence to convict him and actions following the 2020 election, i.e. Jack Smith said he was going to send Trump to jail if he did not get elected to save his own skin. Due to the Department of Justice policy on not prosecuting sitting presidents, charges were dismissed because they just got to sit there for a while and after his election victory. So as many people said, and it is the truth, Donald Trump ran for president, maybe to be president, but definitely to stay out of jail. And this is the case right now. As Smith said, the investigation highlighted that Trump's knowingly propagated false claims of election fraud undermined the democratic process and contributed to the January 6th Capitol attack. He was responsible. But despite the decision to drop the charges, the report underscores that the gravity of Trump's actions and their impact on American democracy are there. Just like we had with Judge Juan Machan, who said your 34 felony counts are in the books, and it's probably not good for us to have them hanging over your head while you're being the president. So we're going to not give you any punishment, but your 34 counts are in the books as guilty, as charged as these felony counts. Donald Trump is not an innocent man and won't say that. He won't say he's an innocent man, but he also was a guy that said he can get away with shooting somebody in Middle Fifth Avenue, literally, and get away with it, which might not quite be what he did, but he's getting away with a hell of a lot of stuff thanks to him being president-elect Donald Trump. 6 more days, and he's back in charge. The one report we knew about before we wrapped this thing up for overnight was for Hunter Biden, as special counsel David Weiss releases the final report on Hunter Biden's investigation, and it looks bad for Joe Biden. The special counsel published his final report on the investigation of Hunter Biden, addressing proceedings that responded to criticisms from President Joe Biden himself. The gun charges, what he was convicted of in June of 2024, were made off of false statements regarding his drug use, firearm purchases, all that's there. And in September of 2024, he pleaded guilty to charges related to evading $1.4 million in taxes. In December as well, this is months after that, Joe Biden actually gave a full pardon to his son, describing the prosecutions as politically motivated. The pardons for 11 years and some days, I guess. So the timeline is a little odd, but it goes back to cover all the stuff that he may have been involved in that time, essentially shielding him from any prosecution from the next administration, assuming that the Trump administration would actually try to prosecute Biden some more, Hunter Biden, to get back at Joe Biden some more. While Weiss's report rebuts the president's claim, stating that such remarks are gratuitous and wrong and undermines the public confidence in the justice system. So essentially, both presidents are doing the same thing, making the justice system look bad in the process. Weiss also emphasized that the investigations were conducted without political bias, asserting that the charges were pursued based on the legitimate claims. So we have that. We will go on to understand actually, we probably won't quite understand what happened in these two cases, but we will go on to study these things going forward as historians and students in the future will try to figure out what the hell was going on in the 2020s with elections. Because right now, us living here don't know what the hell is going on in the 2020s and elections. Meanwhile, Rachel Maddow is going back to work 5 days a week for MSNBC for the first 100 days of Trump's presidency. First 100 days is an arbitrary number. You do that for all sorts of things. We have in elementary school, my daughter had the first 100 days of school where you got yourself settled and get things going on. The first 100 days, it could be 95, it could be 75, it could be 200 days. It doesn't really matter. But the first 100 days is kind of how you proclaim the start to a presidency, start to the administration, how things are going to go going forward. How they start in the first 100 days is essentially what you're going to gauge the rest of the 4 years for. Rachel Maddow is going to go take a temporary pause from her long-standing vacay of working one night a week for Rachel Maddow show, and will work 5 nights a week covering the initial 100 days of President Trump's first month of second terms. It's going to coincide with starting on the 20th, the inauguration day, and go through April the 30th. She, of course, reduced her hosting duties, including doing podcasts and many things because she did whatever, and gave most of the work to Alex Wagner going Tuesday through Friday. But Alex gets a bit of a vacation. She gets to go do some other special reporting assignments while she's working these things and not sitting at the desk for so much time. So she's not going away. She's basically still in the wings, ready to take over if something happens, but she's going to go do some special assignments while Rachel Maddow does the big work on the big desk for the first 100 days. Here's the thing. You see a difference between the audience on Monday and the rest of the week. It's a 20% increase compared to what happened after the post-election period. So when she's on, when she did her stuff for the election run-up, people were watching. And when she went away, people stopped. They're hoping that people will start watching again. Most people actually start watching again now that the president will be the president again. So there's real things going on, as opposed to the conjecture. And a lot of it is, in MSNBC's case, whining and crying on the fact that Trump actually won. The inauguration is 10 a.m. Eastern time at January the 20th. So 6 days from now, we will have the restart of a new presidency for Donald J. Trump, this time being 47 after being 45. We will see what happens as a shift from programming happens on all networks to focus more on what Trump is doing again, and maybe bring some eyeballs back to some of the liberal-leaning ones that have basically have people crying and losing their minds over the loss of Kamala Harris / Joe Biden, the win of Donald Trump. But we're not quite done yet. Carrie Underwood will perform America the Beautiful at the presidential inauguration. Country's music star will perform that song at President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration on the 20th of January, 2025. She'll be accompanied by the the Armed Forces Chorus and the United States Naval Academy Glee Club during the ceremony at the U.S. Capitol. She expressed her honor in participating, stating, "I love our country, and I'm honored to have been asked to sing in its inauguration and be a small part of this historic event. I'm humbled to answer the call." Yeah, I said I wouldn't do impressions, but I just had to do that one. It's scheduled to be between the actual inauguration ceremonies, the actual oaths givings of Vice President-elect J.D. Trump and President-elect Donald Trump. The swearing ins of the two. Underwood has maintained a neutral stance in politics, so she says she's not picking a side, but she wants to stay out of that limelight, but he wants to be a part of this grand ceremony, regardless of who would have made it. Historically the way. She's glad to be a part of the deal. Also a part of this deal, Christopher Machacho, Machacho, who is an opera singer, performed the national anthem. Lee Greenwood, of course, singing God Bless USA. And the Village People are expected to perform at random events around town, but not necessarily at the inauguration, because they love them some Trump. They love them some royalties. They love them some Trump. Of course, we'll be ready for this great thing, all things going on beyond the time. I already get the time for the inauguration, the last story. So be prepped for a day of ceremony, a day of pride, and a night of parties, and about 100 executive orders signed between the swearing in and the first ball. Or maybe you'll sign them at the balls. That might be something you'll do as well. Moving on to a pause. We have 4 more stories that we gathered for yesterday. You technically gathered them. We'll explain that when we get to the process of how we got the stories in. But a quick stop to ask for your assistance. We need you to help us grow the Conversation Project, grow this thing here, grow more things. So we need you to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm warning you right now, some of the things are going to change in the next couple of weeks. We waited for the new year to kind of do some things, and we're going to probably go back to live shows in the early in the morning, so you can see them going forward, and more things that are more engaging. But to help with engagement, we ask you to like what we're doing. If you like this video, if you're watching it with me live right now, it's 5:32 a.m. at the moment right now, Central Time, as I'm doing these words. Like the videos or like it in the replays going forward. If you like it, the algorithm believes it's likable. And if the algorithm believes it's likable, they'll share to more people, whether it's a live feed to see what's going on and what we keep going, or if it's something on a replay going past. If you enjoy what you're seeing and know people who might enjoy it as well, share it with other folks. Share it with people directly who you know enjoy this type of news, getting past all that's going on. Yes, we'll talk about the fires literally in a moment, but that's overtaking all the stories. More things going on. We'll get you more details on those things and my commentary. It's a bit dry, but the writ is there and the purpose is there and the passion is there. So hopefully you get that and share it with those folks as well. Hopefully they'll like it as well. And if you're not subscribed to this directly, someone actually shared it to you or the algorithm fed it up to you, subscribe so you don't miss out on our wit and our dry humor that happens every single weekday here on the Conversation Project, on the YouTube, on the X, on the Facebook. Join us for this thing here and other things all day long. We'll explain what we do with the postings and things all day long, covering news for you. Right now, back to the news and back to the fires for a moment as we go to a story that talks about the fires in Los Angeles, but the Oscars. The Oscar nominations are going to be delayed due to the devastating fires that are ravaging Los Angeles right now. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has postponed the announcement of the 2025 Oscar nominations due to the ongoing wildfires in Los Angeles. Probably the best idea. They're originally scheduled to happen on the 17th of January, but they're going to be moved to the 19th and then now for probably the 23rd. So it'll be after the inauguration when we find out who will have the Oscar nominations. The delay allows Academy members to additional time to cast their votes based on disruptions going back and forth, and for people who are dealing with the seriousness of the fires to actually get that stuff done. In addition to nominations delay, the annual Oscar nominees luncheon will be happening a bit later. Right now, scheduled for the 2nd of March. It was originally for the 10th of February, so moving it back about a month so they can have time with that one. And we'll still be at the Dolby Theater in Hollywood, it's planned to be at least. We'll see what happens going forward. Wildfires have significantly impacted Los Angeles area, leading to at least 24 fatalities and destruction of thousands of homes, with high winds expected to exacerbate the situation for today. Maybe more fires being ignited today. Many people on the famous list you'll see that you may see at the Grammy nomination at the Oscars have dealt with these issues. People who are dealing with the Grammys, which of course planned for February 2nd, is being pushed back as well. Things are just happening as they will, as people are dealing with the realities of the realness of the situation. Fires are dangerous. There's so many fires that are not even close to being contained that they must actually work on those stuff and human life and prepping for those things. So the Grammys, the Oscars, all those ceremonies, they will happen just on a lay basis as Los Angeles deals with Los Angeles for a little bit. Let's take a pause in devastation and go to something that is maybe good news. U.S. officials express optimism as Gaza ceasefire deal nears. U.S. officials are expressing cautious optimism because you never know with the Hamas going back with Israel and Hamas and their negotiations for a ceasefire agreement to end the 15-month conflict in Gaza. Now, granted, this is going to be a temporary ceasefire again, but it's something, and they're looking for something, another big win from the State Department coming out of Joe Biden's presidency, as we are, if you say often, 6 days away from the regime. The proposed deal, mediated by Qatar, with support from the U.S., involves a phased truce and the release of hostages by Hamas in exchange for a liberation of Palestinian prisoners by Israel. Joe Biden has indicated that the parties are on the brink of an agreement, expressing his emphasis that the deal would halt hostilities, ensure Israel's security, and significantly enhance the humanitarian aid going to Palestine. President Donald Trump has also been actively involved, saying his envoy, having a person in the envoy to keeping up with that so that there's continuity. Once it's done, his folks will keep up the work that's going on, the good work we hope to get there. And Trump also expressed optimism about this happening and basically saying that if it doesn't happen, very bad things may happen, because he says things like that, emphasizing that he doesn't want to deal with it and doesn't want to have to push to make this thing happen. So both sides, Hamas and Israel, need to make this thing go good so they can keep this one as one thing not have to do on day one. Despite the progress, there are still challenges in the process, including opposition from the hardline Israeli government. They don't like it. Netanyahu may go with it, but they don't like it, and they think things are going to be issues, and the overall need to deal with humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which is terrible. 46,000 Palestinians have been killed during the conflict. People who were just literally women, children, and just folks staying in the street because they were kind of in the way between the warring factions. Negotiations working diligently through the night, through the day to make it happen. Hopefully, we'll have this win and something to add to bolster up the ending of the legacy of President Joe Biden, because the last days are seeming more like, end time days as opposed to just last days watching the clock. The billionaire rocket battle will have to continue later, or at least continue with actual testing later, as Blue Origin really did have to scrub the Glenn rocket launch and will delay it for a bit more longer. It was set to go off yesterday, but due to technical issues, especially ice buildup in the purge line, which may mean something to you as a space nerd, they had to push it back. And right now, there is no real window. They have a window for January 16th, 3-hour window at 1 a.m. in the morning Eastern time, but we'll see if they actually hit that window. This will be a Cape Canaveral again. So maybe they give it another shot in 2 days, maybe not. What this is a reusable aircraft, a reusable rocket ship that can be sent out into space, land, if you will, or connect to things out in space and return back to Earth, just like they do for SpaceX. And if it works, that means SpaceX has some competition. Blue Origin will be in the mix for fighting for that cargo load going forward, which should be great because competition makes things better, but it might not be so great based on the closeness that Elon Musk has with Donald Trump, or it might not be so great being the new closeness that Jeff Bezos is trying to get with Donald Trump. All we know is that Richard Branson's still trying to fly the airplanes, not trying to go send rockets up to connect to the space the space stations yet. So we'll see if he's joining in the action fairly soon. Trigger warning, all sorts of warnings, ick warning coming up for the 8th story today. And it's one of those things where we've been talking about it. I saw it. It went out there sort of out of the blue. And when I put it out there, oh yes, the engagement was insane. Talking Bonnie Blue, the headline: OnlyFans star Bonnie Blue claims to set world record in 1,507 partners. You get the gist. In only 12 hours. Now, the 25-year-old OnlyFans content creator from Derbyshire claims to have set a controversial world record by allegedly engaging in sexual acts with 1,557 men. 507 would be way out there. 1,057 men in a single day, 12-hour period, a stunt reportedly carried out in London. Claim follows her previous remarks about sleeping with barely legal 18-year-olds, which I guess helps, and encouraging infidelity, which has sparked significant backlash online. She asserts that she makes up to £750,000 monthly with her adult content on promotional stunts. This is a story article coming from one of the British tabloids, so I don't have the actual American equivalent. It sounds like a lot of money. And she's drawn lots of criticism for moral implications, specifically showing up at places where men have essentially just turned 18 and just graduated from high school and like, hey, let's have sex, because that's her thing. Previously barred from entering Australia via visa-related planned events, showing up at graduations and having sex with men, Blue has faced accusations of being predatory. She's defended her actions as legal and educational, arguing that participants are consenting adults. Barely legal consenting adults. Public response to her recent stunt has been overwhelmingly critical, which many question the ethics and purpose of the activities. Such controversies bring Blue the money, of course, but her family seems to support her career. I guess she's made that much money, they can look the other way. And her mother even assisting with administrative taxes go on. Now, we've talked about this actual push because we actually talked about Lily Phillips, who did the 100 men in a day first, and then said she's doing 1,000, and was starting to work that thing up until we find out that it looks like Bonnie Blue beat her to it. The incident highlights ongoing conversations about ethics of adult content and the influence of public perception. Oh, does it so much so. Let's transition off of the Conversation Project, conversations, and go into other conversations. We just did the 8 stories that you deem were worthy of chatting up today. So thank you so much for giving us the juice to get those out there. Now we're going to talk about our teaser stories, stories that you could talk about if you deem them worthy to chat up going forward. And how does that happen? We have feeds on Facebook and X, facebook.com/this is the conversation project and x.com/th_conversation. When you follow us at those locations, as you're checking your other things for what Elon's talking about or what your family's doing on the Facebook, you can see what we're chatting up on our feeds. We have stories that get posted every 50 minutes for you to engage in. So we ask for you to engage in them. Give them a like, give it an emoji face with a mean face. We got a lot of little scrunchy emoji faces for that story with Bonnie Blue because it got responses. Oh boy, did it. And if you engage in it enough, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about for you guys tomorrow in the Wednesday edition 8 stories from the top half, 15 or so stories of the 30 or so we'll get throughout the day. So if you want to talk about a story, basically upvote it by doing your engagement, reading it, commenting on it, give it all the love you want to, or hate, if you will. And if it's a top story, top 15, we'll see if it fits into the queue, fits into the listing, fits into what we sit to do our narrative. Now, yesterday, our queue included Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket launch to have to wait a little longer, and we have it there. Today, we have this story going forward, where we continue on Joe Biden and his legacy fix, and some people not wanting to be a part of that, but apparently they're in it anyway. 2 prisoners can't legally object to Biden's death row commutations, DOJ argues. 2 prisoners who basically said, nah, I'm good, when they were given their sentence commuted via Joe Biden's pardons from death row to lifetime of lifetime, no parole. 2 prisoners like, yeah, no, we don't want that. And basically DOJ's like said, yeah, no, we're not going to kill you. So there's that. Do you want to chat this one up or any other piece of the legacy? Look for the story and just comment as you will. We'll go for that one. We'll probably throw a video out with this one early to get you that juice going as well. If it's in the range, if it's one of the top 15, 16 stories of the day, you'll most likely, unless something else blows it out of the water, be a part of the 8 stories for our Wednesday morning broadcast. We're going to talk for a moment about our sponsor for the day, and it happens to be AppSumo. AppSumo is a great place to find the deals that you're looking for to help your business and your productivity. AppSumo offers up great exclusive deals with companies and businesses and apps and all the things that will save you lots of money and save you time. Now, if there's some great big sort of tool out there that costs a lot of money, something established, and you're looking for something that's a bit cheaper, easier to use, and gives you more bang for your buck now, these are companies who are basically competing with those companies, and they have newer models. Some things aren't quite built up yet. Some things are pretty built designed, and in most cases, you're going to get them for a one-time cost, a one-time deal, one-time payment. That's a great discount. You'll have it forever. I talk about Get Stenciled, the app I use for doing quick thumbnails and graphic images that I bought so long ago using AppSumo. I've never paid for it again. All the updates, all the changes have happened, and I can use that whenever I want to without anyone having to deal with it or paying for it because I have an image graphic program that works for me. Definitely. You can find these great images. A lot of them using new AI stuff. A lot of them great for productivity. A lot of them, if you're looking for content stuff like B-roll and for images, great access to those for great prices as well. So if your business is a media company or your business is just a regular company that needs things to do for productivity, AppSumo may take good care of you. And Uncle Noah is definitely always on the lookout for great deals. So check them out. Use our affiliate link. This is the conversationproject.com/AppSumo. That's AppSumo. This is the conversationproject.com/AppSumo and get in on this deal today's, so you can get yourself started. The new year is rolling quickly. You're almost 15 days into it. So halfway through the first month, don't let more time slip between your hands. Get in on the great deals they have to get your entrepreneurial life going better for AppSumo. The Conversation Project lives online at this is conversationproject.com. We invite you to check out our website for more things that we do every single day to do conversational things that get more out of the conversation. What you're going to get there is links to old articles, links to old stories, so you can see what we've done in the past. Some of them a little bit butchered, some of them better than others, but some things we do, you see our evolution. You can see links to our sponsorships page and see more sponsors out there. All our sponsors are affiliate links. So if you buy from a sponsor, We get a small commission. You can see our partnership page and consider being a partner, actually funding us directly and being a direct part of what's going on. And you can see all the various places we're located, just in case this location here, we're doing this live to X, to Facebook, and to YouTube. If that's not where you want us to be or where you want to be for us, we're on TikTok. We have podcasts that are audio podcasts. We also have an email newsletter. Check out all the locations you can find us there and get the news the way you want it, basically the news based off of you. Now, as we say, you help us pick the stories for engagement. You go to our feeds. The most important thing is go to our feeds and email us so we know what we're doing. Go to our feeds, give us the stories that are good enough, and we put them into the order to make them hopefully the best story, the best headline that we got. You can always email me, whether you're paying or not, to the conversation inbox at gmail.com and let us know exactly what we need to do so we can get things going, do things better going forward. And with that, we're wrapped. We're done. It's over. Today has been Tuesday, January 14th, 2024. And this edition of Things You Might Have Heard is now officially in the books. We thank you so much for joining us for this newscast, whether you watched it to us live, and we may have surprised you with the live view so early in the morning again. We're testing to see if some changes and switches in our technology will allow us to go back to things. There's a slight little delay in our recording, so we wanted to back away and do it from the live to tape for a while. I like having the ability to do the scrolls and do the stuff and do the magic stuff. So we'll see if we can go back to that one after, the air check for today. If you liked it, like the video. Let me know in comments. Let me know what we can do going forward that's good or not good. If you don't like it, same thing applies. Like the video so I know that you got something out of it, but reply in comments or email me with comments on what we can do to do better next time. This has been Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We are back to normal schedules, more or less out of the kind of blah that is the New Year double week. And of course, hopefully, if you're not dealing with any major event, our snow event is now over. The fires, of course, in Los Angeles are not over. You will join us again tomorrow with some updated and hopefully uplifting news. Less Bonnie Blue tomorrow, we're pretty sure. So we like to give you news stories that you can want to engage in because you get first dibs. We'll see how well we do tomorrow with things you might not have heard from the Conversation Project.